Okay, so anyway, this page just goes through it and tells you what's new. The biggest thing is the loop builder and a few other things, but the loop builder, this is what we're going to be talking about today, and it's a pro feature. So, and let's see here, go here, and it's only available in the beta versions, and I'll show you plugins. As of up until this morning, they were at 3.8 beta 5. They updated to beta 6 sometime during the night. And I thought, oh, that's swell. They've changed it, and I've been working on stuff, and now it's going to all be broken. But everything seemed to be okay. Although there are some, it's not ready for prime time yet, at least not right now. So anyway, if you want to play with it and activate use these beta versions, there's a page on GitHub. I'll put the link to this in chat if you're interested. And you can gives you instructions on how to download it and how to use it and all that kind of good stuff. So you can check that out.
So can I ask you, Carrie, are the Flexbox containers that this relies on, is that all live and available?
It's not live on the current public released versions of Elementor. It is it's considered stable. In this beta release, the Flexbox containers are considered stable because you have to use the containers to use the loop builder.
Yeah, I see that in the fine print. So you need Flexbox to do this.
Yeah. And so I'm not sure when they release 3.8, the real version of it. If I'm pretty sure that Flexbox is going to be just on by default in the new version, where 3.8. But I'm not sure about the loop builder.
Is that going to be a 2023 release?
3.8?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's going to be like at the. It might. I think I read somewhere down the bottom of this somewhere. I read it somewhere that their target date for release as of that day, which was earlier today, was the 30th of this month.
Oh, okay. So just a few days.
Yeah. So
it's supposed to be out by in less than a week.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So we've gone through that. Once you get the beta versions installed, you have to go to Elementor settings, experiments, and you need to put Flexbox container active and loop active. So for it to work. And then once you've done that, save your changes. And let's see, where would be the best place to start? Well, let me show you. I did 3 mock-ups for different kinds of purposes. And so I'll just go to, this is just to demonstrate that you can have lots of different styles. And on this page, these are actually 3 different loops. Let's see, show you. I'm not going to go through and show you how all of these are built, but I'm going to take you through the one that uses advanced custom fields, because that can be very confusing. But see, this is a loop. This is a loop, and this is a loop. If you were to go at the back end of the posts, this is the most recent loop or post. That's the second one, and this is the third. And we did this by offsetting the post by 1 because this is here. And when we did these, we offset it by 3 because this is already shown and that's already shown. But you can have multiple loops on a page. This particular one, the CTA outside the box, was prompted by a need, a client that I had. I was telling Brian about it earlier, building a new website, and kind of the standard way blog posts, whether it be Elementor or ultimate add-ons for Elementor, whatever. When you have the post grid, you've got your picture, your title, excerpt, or not. You know, these you can have them or not have them, and then a read more button. But sometimes people's subject lines can be long, and this was prompted by a client. This new website we're building, the client is there. It's an attorney, and he's prone to having long titles, and so we ended up with pages that might have a title that's 6 lines long, and then this. And so this block is, super long. And it's got a bunch of white space on this one because it doesn't have near as much space. So what she wanted to have, she wanted 2 things. She wanted the blocks, if you will, to be the same height. And she wanted the call to action outside of the box, which with these tools you can't do. Now, I was able to do it using Elementor custom fields, but I wanted to see if we could do it with the Elementor loop builder. And here we have this. I don't have excerpts put in here, but one of the interesting things is right now it doesn't have the ability to do equal height boxes. Show you in the editor. See, they're not the same height because this has this really super long title. But for the time being, I think this will be fixed because this is just a basic thing. But what I ended up doing was I found a plugin that called equal height columns. And you just put a class on your let's see, where did I put that? Is it on the loop? Here we go. Yeah. On the column, what I wanted was this column, which is actually this column, which is inside of a column, for them all to be the same height. So I put give them all the same class, and then using that particular plugin, I put that class in there and make sure all columns with that class are the same height, and it does it with some JavaScript. So the page, and we'll come back to this one. Now we'll see what happens when we go to look at the page. They'll all be the same height. And they respond nicely, responsive. And then advanced custom fields. This is a custom post type, and that was the thing I was most interested in, because the dynamic aspect. I mean, it was already dynamic in the sense you could put like a post URL or featured image, but to set up customized content, you kind of need advanced custom fields. And when I first started messing with this earlier in the week, it didn't seem like it worked, because of all the videos that I had seen earlier in the month where people were demoing this. It was beta version 1 or 2. The advanced custom fields just didn't work. So earlier this week, when I was messing with it and started working with it, I thought, well, shoot, it's not working. And I was thinking, well, that's going to be kind of a hole in the presentation, because I thought that was an important part. But it turns out it works. It just is wonky. They still got to work out the kinks. So I'll go through. I'll recreate this from scratch to show you how it works. And let's see what else do. One other thing, there's 2 ways to build your template. You can build it in your theme builder, and you can go to loop, and then you see I've got lots of loops that I've been playing with. But you will go, remember, this loop is what it looks like here. But if you go to try to build it in the theme builder, it just goes to fill the space, and it's hard to tell what exactly you're doing or how things are looking. So what I found, at least what things I've done so far, it's easier to work on the page. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to do a new version, or try to reproduce the version of this. So I'm going to start a new page. That's what we call this. Publish it. And then I'm going to edit with Elementor. And of course, on the other ones, I have a title, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Now, in earlier versions, I saw people take a container, slide it over, and then take the loop grid and pop it over, but I don't think that's necessary. From what I've been able to, it appears to me what happens if you take the loop grid, slide it over there, it creates its own container automatically. So let's see here. Okay, so what we're going to do, the order you do things in can help make things easier. Because one of the things I ran into is I started creating a template, and then I wanted to change something, and I couldn't figure out how to change something on the whole loop level. I couldn't figure out how to access it. Turns out that this accesses the loop, the whole thing. But anyway, so we've gotten this part, we've dragged it over, create a template. I'm just going to say create a template and say save. Okay, now see the challenge is at this point I haven't told it what I want, what custom post type I want to use. So there's no way to do anything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update, and I'm going to and there's no way to that I can see to delete. So what I'm going to do is pages. Trash this. Huh. There we go. We'll do another. Okay. Okay, now we'll edit with Elementor. And I'm going to take the loop grid and just drop it on there. Now, before I create a template, I'm going to do the query and choose sources. It's going to be associates. That way, it'll know to pull the stuff in from that particular post type. And of course, I can do other things here. So now I'll say, create a template. Okay, so what we're going to do, if we go back and look at what we've got a picture, we got their name, we got their title or position, and the button. So we want to put an image in first. So we can just drag an image here. Looks normal so far, right? But let's make it dynamic. Click the dynamic, and we go down to ACF image field. We click on the wrench, the key, associate image. See, it's not showing an image. And so that makes it challenging.
Why don't you set up the preview conditions? On the bottom left gear, yes, preview settings, right? So select the post and select one of them.
What's his name?
What's your name? Paul.
There we go. Is that going to work? Oh, no.
Apply and preview.
See, it doesn't work.
But that's the way it's, well, at least that's the way I personally do it on Elementor custom scheme.
Yeah.
And it should work basically the same way here.
Well, it might. I mean, it's not done yet. So see if I can. Pages. Huh. Okay, let's add a new one. Page. Loop. There's only so many ways I could come up with a different name. Okay. So now we'll do this. Loop grid right here. query associates. I'm going to create a template which will trigger this save. And then we can get our image, drag it there, make it dynamic. ACF image field, pick the key, associate image. Okay, now if we update, it'll probably show the picture. Oh, I got to save it back. Yeah. See, some of this is when as I was working with this, some of the way the flow it's somehow different from the way Elementor normally works. So, you know, I have found myself expecting it to work one way and it ends up working another. And I'm not sure if that's going to change or not. But so the image comes in, but okay, so now we've set the image up. Let's finish setting the image up. We're going to go to the link, custom URL, dynamic tags. Now this is just a regular post URL. It'll take us to the post. Then we're going to add the person's name, and I'm going to use a heading widget. And I'm going to make it H4, and I'm going to make it centered. We don't have to worry about centering the image particularly because when it gets into multiple columns, it gets squinched enough to where it takes up the whole space. So this is going to be the title or the person's name. And so we're going to do dynamic on that and do ACF field, associate's name. Or so we still don't see anything here. But if we update, save. Now we get the name, but we're going to need to style this. And if I remember right, as I style this, you'll see these changing. So let's make it a different color. Style, color. Okay, see it changed over here. And we're going to change the font to 24 pixels. And it's already at 600. So that's good to go. Okay. So then we're going to put in their title. I'm going to use a heading widget again, but underneath, but I'm going to make it a div so we have complete control over how it looks and such. So we've done that. Let's make it centered. And for the color, do this. And then we're going to add styling for the fonts. So 17. I know Oscar Rems, but for this I was using pixels. Haven't forgot. And 17 pixels, 600. Let's see, is that looking right? Let's save and see what happens. Okay. Now, obviously, we need to make that dynamic. So click that. We're going to go to content, ACF field. And so this would be their title. And say, but this is too much space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose that again, and I'm going to go to advanced, go to unlock the margins. I'm going to put a -15 margin on that. Tighten that sucker up. Okay, so we're coming along. And now we have to put the button in. So since we can't see where we're going, we might have to play with this a bit. So let me pull that down. Okay, so there's our title. So, okay, I want this to be center to, and I want it to link to the post URL. And we're going to, for the text, we're going to make it dynamic. We're going to go to ACF field, and we're going to change, the key is first name, and then we go to advanced, and before first name, we're going to put meet with a space. Space is important to add space between the words. And then we're going to do the alignment. I don't know, it seemed like it was a long time before I even realized this is here. It's been a while now, but if you want to make a button full width, just do it justified, and it'll span the whole space. Let's see here. And for the font, we're just going to go with the default. I think that's 16, and 500 is fine. For the color of the bar, we're going to make it this lovely Elementor raspberry, we'll call it. And then for the hover, we'll make the text that same color, but then we'll use that subtle Elementor pink. And put that there. Okay, and so then we'll save. Oh, we got it backwards. So let's edit that. This hover. That's text. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that works properly now. And that links to, you can tell by down here, it's going to the right page, and this has a link. Now, one of the things too is I want this. Now, what I want is a 4-column grid. But so to edit the loop grid, now I can edit the grid. It's the whole grid itself by this little blue thing over here. And then I can go to here, get 4 columns, and make it just 4. And update. And I might put some padding here. Put some padding. 60. And so then, oh, and there was one other thing I wanted to do with that. Edit template, choose the image, advanced, nope, style, hover. I want to hover, I want to grow when they mouse over it. Save. So now it does that. So whatever we do to the template does this to every single instance of the loop. And you just edit one thing and it does it to everything. So it works with advanced custom fields. It's a little cumbersome, but that's okay. So let's get back. Then get out of that. And let's look at this. Now this is, let's look at this in the theme builder. Might be easier to see. And no, wrong one, theme builder. And okay, let's see. Hopefully this will make sense here. What we've got our outside container. We've got another container on the inside. And this container is this white box. Because remember, we want the button to be outside of the box. So this container has a white background. Now, that's inside, although this looks like the old sections, it's a container. It says edit container. Then we put another container underneath with the button, which does that. So we're able to, and this is kind of the same deal. This is your, and this particular, this particular instance, because this is not a custom post type, we're just using the featured image. And that's the post title and some meta information, and then the button, just generic text. That only thing dynamic about that is it goes to the post URL. But you could move anything around if you wanted. One other thing that
excuse me, could you avoid the second container and just put the button directly within the large container?
this container here?
No, that container is okay because that container is going to have the white background.
Right. Well, it is. It is.
You can have the container, I mean the button directly on the big container.
No.
A container with a single button.
Well, what we've got is this container contains all of this. It contains this container and that container. Let's go to the navigator. You see, that's that container. And then this is the container that has the image, the post title, and the post info.
Right.
this container has the button.
Okay.
And
My
they're all
question,
inside.
my question is, could you have the button outside the second container within the large container? So in the big container, you're gonna have a container with the image and then a button, not two containers.
Well, I don't think it would work that way. Because like if you were to, but we can give it a shot here. Let's see.
Go to the navigator.
See, we're looking for a button. See, it has to go
The easy way
inside the
would be
container.
just drag that button up.
Yeah, drag it up and then invert the, go to the navigator. No, remove that button.
This one?
Yeah, the green one. Delete. Okay, now go to the navigator. Let's see if it works.
What do you, when you say navigator, what are you talking about? This?
Control I,
Yeah, the layers, I mean,
or Command I if you're on a Mac.
the navigator that you opened at the
Oh,
bottom.
okay.
Right.
Now,
Now drag the button at the bottom above the first container, between the two containers. No,
You went too far.
it has to be in a container.
no. Drag it
It's in a
on top of,
container.
between the two top containers. Right there. Okay. Now delete the container under the last container, the third one. That one you can delete.
I'm not sure I want to do that.
Okay, just leave it empty. Leave it empty. Now pull the container above the button. That one, above the button. Yeah, right there.
Okay, let's see.
Now
Yeah,
you've
the
got
button is
an
now, the
container.
button is now still under the other container, but still in the top container. So I see what you're trying to do, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, but
think,
you're gonna be saving code.
let's see if we can preview this. No, it won't work that way. Well, let's just save it and see what happens.
Very cool.
Okay,
Yeah, you're saving one container.
very
So
good.
now you have less code.
Yeah, you end up with less code. That was my objective.
Exactly. So let's put a little. Here's that. Good deal.
Yeah. And the only reason you need the container inside the container is because you want the white background. If you didn't want that, you could put within the same white
Oh,
background.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, gotcha. And one thing that I thought about that you could do is you could also create and I didn't do this, but as I was thinking about uses for stuff, you could create a custom field in ACF that only applies to posts in a certain category. Let's say, and you could, and it would only show up when you're editing a post and you set it to a particular category. Let's say it's let's say you're doing a site for not a single post. Some situations where you might have a particular type of graphic, let's say, that you might want to appear in a particular place on particular kinds of posts, but they're still just posts. So you could create a custom field that for post in, let's say, attorneys category, and whatever that content would be. And then when you are doing your post and you set category as attorneys, a custom field thing will appear that won't appear on other posts, and then you can put in the information you want. But that would be interesting. So all that being said, this behaves very similarly to Elementor custom skins, because I had done was working on, let's see, can I access it from here? No, I can't. I was working on a new site where this particular issue came up that I was telling you about, and I just did it with Elementor custom skin. But well, good, Oscar, because I was under the impression that you had to have things in containers, and well, you do, but that you had to have a separate one. So good. Any other?
I am basically using containers when I have to change the background of a section. See,
Yeah.
that title CTA outside the box on white background has to be in a different container than the 3 posts because of the background.
Right. Yeah. And we're still kind of getting our minds around containers versus sections and columns, but you're absolutely right. See, this is a container, and that's inside of that. And then this is another container. And very good, Oscar. Very good.
So basically, everything has moved to containers now instead of sections.
Well, what's going to happen when the containers are part of the core, Elementor core, sections, columns will be now containers. And now, obviously, if you've built a site, you've already got sections and columns in there. So when you update to 3.8, if it's containers are in 3.8, it's not going to break your sections and columns. They'll still work, and you'll still edit them if they're existing the way you always did. But if you wanted to add, let's say you tried to add a new section, section's not there. Because if let's get out of this. Let's see. See, containers right at the top. Let's see if I can find an example of what this is. I don't know if I can access this without having to go into WP Engine or not. They've come up with a new login way. And this pages. And let's see here. Edit. Elementor. Okay, see, so now basic intersections 2 will be replaced by containers. So sections, columns, and intersections. And then Of course, then you can, we didn't really play around with the flex box part of it, the containers in this particular one. We did that. When did we do that, Brian? 3 months ago? Did I lose Brian?
No, I'm here. It was, yeah, about almost 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, so that's what's coming. I don't know if the loop builder is going to be ready for prime time.
Well, and you said
Release.
this was a pro version, so this will cost some fee to have the version that you just you demonstrated.
Oh, yeah,
Usually pro versions cost something more than non-pro versions.
sure. I'm not sure what that is nowadays.
And then when you use Elementor custom skin instead, does that have other fees? Like a
No,
pro?
Elementor Custom Skin is a plugin you can find on the WordPress repository for free.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
that's
used
free.
to make a lot of presentations about free plugins. This is unusual for you to make a presentation about paid plugin.
Well, Elementor Pro is the only the paid plugin, but I mean, that's the heart and soul of Elementor is Elementor Pro.
Right.
Um,
And I have that.
So Elementor, and if you have Elementor Pro, when it goes to the next, I guess at 3.8, then there'll be
You'll have access.
access to the loop builder.
Okay.
Certainly, I expect containers, maybe not loop builder yet, but just for one site right now, Elementor is costing $49 a year.
By the way, they announced today a price change. The studio plan is disappearing and the agency plan is going down to $400, $399.
Well, doesn't surprise me because that was a huge price increase they did whenever they bumped that up to $1,000. Of course, no one is gonna, well, I say no one, there's not probably very many people that have 1,000 websites. I mean, I guess I could see a big agency that might have it, but you know, a lot of agencies I know, they pass the cost for Elementor on to their client and let the client deal with it. But if you're on like a care plan, if you do care plans, you might want to include some premium software into your monthly fee, and you can use that to help justify the cost. But does that answer your question, Karen? About
Yeah, if that, what you demoed is going to be available to Elementor Pro users,
Yeah,
then that
yeah,
will be available to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
And Karen,
No.
it's available now in the developer mode if you just want to play around with it. But if you're just waiting for it to come out to everyone with Pro, it'll probably be what, a couple of weeks, Oscar?
well,
Yeah.
as I said
This
before, somewhere in here, this long, it talks about,
When it's going to be released.
yeah, update about release mechanism, more improvements.
Well, something I noticed lately, and I don't know how long it's been there, but when I log on to my site on my dashboard, it asks me if I want to run Elementor experiments. And I'm
Exactly.
like, okay, that's a really interesting question. Why would I want to?
Well, because they,
Is that happening to everybody? And should I say yes to that? Because
No.
I wouldn't know how to fix it if some experiment ran something amok on the site.
Some of them are more stable than others. I mean, if you
Yeah.
go to that page, you know, the ones in beta, the ones at the top, those you don't want to do those on a production site. But some of the other ones are, if they're stable enough, you're probably not going to have a problem with it. I mean, no, not 100% sure, of course, but yeah.
They well, according to something I read, and Oscar, I guess Sue's gone. I don't see her. That see, you go to settings, experiments. You could activate them all, deactivate them all, but I
And
read
here-
somewhere that the flex box is considered stable, meaning it's ready to go.
Oh, so you could like click that and experiment with it if
Well,
you
you
wanted.
have to turn it on active, because default right now, I believe it's inactive.
It defaults to inactive.
Yeah. And so you have to go in and make the Flexbox container active. But remember that now when you're doing it, you're not going to be able to use, you'd be using sections or columns or intersections. If you recall, we talked about this when we did the Flexbox container meetup, that the way it has been is you can have a section and then you have columns, and then you can put an intersection inside of a column, but you can't put another intersection inside a column in an intersection. You can't keep piling on. With containers, you can pile on as much as you want, although that's not smart. That's to Oscar's point. By having fewer containers, you have less code, and the page renders faster and loads faster. So yeah, Oscar's absolutely right. You want to try to minimize the number of containers and still accomplish what you want to do. So I guess no one has messed around with this yet, right?
The loop builder, no.
No. So
And Halika had a question about, is it possible to align to an author? And I was about to ask her in chat, but since you had just stopped, you can answer.
align to an author. You mean specifically pull out posts by author?
Yeah, I think she was talking about in custom fields where you can align, you had it aligned to associates, I believe. Yeah, our associates.
Well, you could have you can have an author archive already without having to use custom fields.
No, sorry, Carrie, it's me, Juan. I just I logged in with my wife's account, but what I meant is because the title for the post, and sometimes it's 4 lines and the other one is 3. So the author was very close to that. I mean, if you can align it at the bottom, even no matter how long is the title of the post, with the example that we were showing before.
Well, you could, I think. I mean, we could have taken these
Yes, exactly that one, for
and put
example,
them down here.
in the column, the middle is not aligned with the left column, only with the right, because it is 2 lines in the middle and the right, but in the left is 5 lines, the title.
I'm not following. Did you understand, Brian?
Is he
Yeah.
trying to say that he wants all of them to have the author and the date at the bottom, not just under the title?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, you can do that with the container.
Yeah, I mean, we
Put
could,
space in between, align them, space in between. From top to bottom on the container and space in between.
let's see what we can do with that.
Go to that container and edit that container and put a space in between.
That's kind of pretty much what it's
I-
doing.
Actually, don't you want to select the author and date thing and then put that one and make that align at the bottom of the container instead of doing the entire container? Instead of
No,
s-
this is just this, what Oscar's talking about, this sets the content you can see. Versus
Oh, I
not,
know that, but you can also set where individual elements go in the container. If
yeah,
you-
you sure can. That's self-align.
You're not gonna see any effect because that is the longest container, but you probably will see it on the live site.
Well, it's already just, well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. Let me go back, make sure we got that set right. Okay, let's update. That's one of the drawbacks of it not showing you the what you're gonna get until you view the page.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Now the challenge though is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but now the title is not aligned with the left one.
Oh,
Oh, okay, then you would have, in that case, you will need an additional container to have one container for the image and the title and a second container for the author and the date.
yeah, kind of like what I did with the button, except inside the white box.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So let's,
Now, if you want to go that route, drop a, okay. Let me see the navigator because I think you're. That container has the post info, right?
yep,
And that container is within the second container. Okay,
there's nothing in that container. So
now
we
you
can-
put, so the second container, put space between, not to that one, the one above image, that one. So you're gonna have space between what? Between the two containers. The image, the post, the image and the post title in one container, and the other container is gonna contain the post info. And those are the ones that are gonna have the space between.
this one?
No, go to the live site, or hold it. No, go to the, why don't you name, do me a favor, Carrie, go to the
Yeah.
navigator and name the containers, container 1, container 2, container 3, so we can identify them.
And this one we're not using anymore, so.
Perfect. So container 2 and 3 are within container 1,
Right,
right? Now, that,
Actually, that's not true. Container
no.
3 is within container 2. If
container,
you collapse the, yeah. You see how it's inside of it? If you collapse container 2, I bet we don't
yeah,
see.
yeah,
container
because it's in the white area. Container 2 is white.
right. Now you need another container. No, wait a second. You want the space between the image and the title to be, how do you call that? We have the same, I mean, the titles being aligned right under the images, right? That's a challenge.
Well, yeah, so let's see, let's think about this for a second. We've got these two. And we got this container, we've got. By putting space
And
between.
the title go in one container. The post info goes in another container, and those two go within one container. So you still need one container more between container 1 and container 2. And put,
Yeah, you just have to pull container 3 out of container 2. That's what you need to do.
But that's
And
gonna
so they're
take it out of the-
stacking, right? And
Well,
then, but
That's going to take it out of the white area though. It's gonna put it down
That's
below.
why I'm saying that you need another container within container 2. So add a
Okay.
container 4 on within inside the container 2. That's
Well,
what
sort of blow in the eye.
that's container 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
Now we're going to take this out of here.
it has to have container 1, container 2, another container, image and post title. No. Leave image and post title on the same container. Correct.
Yeah, that goes back in container. So
Okay. Now, on container 3, drop the post info on container 3. Okay, you have code. And those container 3. No. Wait. You need another, Kerry, you need a container right under container 2.
so the blank empty container, he needs to pull up under container 2.
The container 2 is the white one.
Right.
Now the empty container 4, put it between container 2 and image. Now drop the image and the post title inside container 4. No. Expand the container 4. Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
Put the post title right under that. Okay. So you have container 2 with 2 containers, container 4 and container 3.
Right.
That container 2 is the one that has to have space in between. No, I mean, no.
no, you're right, Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
You're
yeah.
right. Container 2 now needs space in between. So that'll
Container
put
2 has
space
to have
between container 4 and container 3.
Right.
Let's see what it looks like on the front end. Kind of losing track of what's going on here.
That's gonna work. There you go.
Yeah, there it
Thank
is.
you.
was nice, Oscar.
Oscar. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to adjust some of this. I'm gonna-
We made it work, E. We made it work.
Yes. So let's see, but we got some nested stuff going on here. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this white space.
Got a bad connection, Juan.
Brian, can you figure out where that's coming
You are
from?
the
Yeah,
best,
that's Juan.
guys.
We got a bad connection with you, Juan.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So we have jumped through multiple hoops to get what we've done. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But let's look at this again here. Oh, the wrong one. Okay, so we got container 4. Actually, it should be. We don't need this container.
No, that's a container that you can delete because that was holding the button.
Right. So we've got in this container here. Okay, the container 2 which is the white container that holds this container, that container, has the space between, which puts this at the top and that at the bottom. And then because this is inside this container, it maintains the same margin as this has.
Right.
Good job. And then of course, there's going to be a test, so make sure y'all. So I guess it really is kind of just limited to your imagination as to how you can take these things. But I'll be honest with you, it is a mind shift to go from what we've been doing to doing this, because you do this all the time, and you kind of have like a muscle memory and even a psychological muscle memory where you keep going to this, looking for the same thing in the same place, and then when you can't find what you're used to, it's like, okay, what do I do? And when I was messing with this the first several hours earlier in the week, I kept making the same errors over again because I kept wanting to do the old way. So I'm not sure. I guess you just depend. I guess it depends on how much your workload is, and or how much you do to how much you dive into this to start using the new tools. But the only way to know how to use them is to use them. So.
Is this pretty common for Elementor to make so many changes in the span of, I guess, like 6 months or a year or something? Because
Well, actually, they have
like these
slowed.
are great changes in a very short amount of time.
Well, actually, they have slowed down their pace. Brian and I were talking about this last month, because, but then if anybody's been around long enough to remember the release of 3.0, raise your hands if you remember 3.0.
What a headache.
It was a disaster because
Totally.
they were on a super fast track of development. They were releasing stuff all the time. And when they released 3.0, it just broke millions of sites. And it took them a long time to recover from that, because they instituted new policies about how they develop stuff. Anyway, last month when Brian and I were thinking about what we were going to talk about, we actually said, there hasn't really been much new from Elementor in a while. And if you go to their YouTube channel, they haven't posted a new YouTube video, I think, in a couple of months. I think they might be doing shorts, but nothing substantive. So, and I haven't paid attention to know if they slow down on development when it gets towards the holidays or not. But I think they're being, and of course, more to your question, Karen, Elementor has been doing other stuff. They have gone to, they've started their cloud hosting service. They've introduced headless WordPress. So they're doing lots of other things in addition to just the regular page builder. And I'm not sure if that's going to turn out to be a good thing or a bad thing. Has anybody used the Elementor Cloud?
I was going to ask you the same thing. I don't use it.
I haven't seen, or I don't see a benefit of using it other than you get Elementor Pro for free. I think it comes for free when you have the cloud package.
You don't really get it for free. You pay for the cloud.
Well, yeah, but it's thrown in as a bonus. I don't know. So, but Elementor's been doing lots of different things. So,
And Container's been in the works for a while now at this point too. It's not a new release. It's stable now, but it's been out for several months, I think, as an experiment.
Yes.
yeah, a long time. Actually, I think
March or May. Is when it,
I think we did our meetup, Brian, on Containers. I think we did it in 2 parts.
Mhm.
And I think one was in May, so it's been around a while. But
Yeah, you did that in May, yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of, we've been around the block on that one.
All right, well, thank you. I really appreciated it. I have to go get my family to bed now.
Okay, well,
So I'm gonna sign off. Thank
all
you so
right, Karen,
much.
it's good to see
Have
you.
a good
Thanks,
night.
Karen. Good seeing you.
Bye-bye.
The Flexbox container is from Elementor 3.6, launched on April 5th, 2022. So it's been April, May, June, July, August, September, October. It's gonna be almost 8 months.
Yeah,
They learned the lesson. They learned the lesson, not releasing things so fast as they did with 3.0.
yeah, and I don't envy them. It's got to be a tremendous challenge for them to keep their software stable and up to date, because think about all the things that Elementor does, and think about all the things it has to interact with, third-party plugins, compatibilities. It's a massive, it would seem to me to be a massive job to keep that code base good, clean, and working properly. So, but there's, they still do things faster than most, like there's some that are very, very conservative in their development cycles that, like generate press and generate blocks. I think they're particularly deliberate in their development cycles. Have y'all, I know, I mean, this is just part of the environment we live in, there's a whole big flurry of block-based add-ons, that are kind of like Elementor add-ons, except they're for Gutenberg. But I haven't seen any that can do all that Elementor can yet. I try to keep my eye and ear to the ground. So have y'all experimented at all with any block-based stuff?
The what?
Block-based, like if you're using Gutenberg and you, like for instance, we use generate press and generate blocks as an example. You can do basically it's like the blocks that come with generate blocks are like Elementor widgets. And there's Bricks Builder, there's Quickly, there's I mean, it's a field that's kind of like it was with page builders 4 or 5 years ago when there was page builders coming out of the woodwork everywhere. So I was just wondering if any of y'all had used that. What would y'all like to see us cover in coming months? Do y'all have? We probably should ask that all the time, but What does that
There's
expect?
nothing new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, and that's the challenge.
And most of us are experienced enough in it, you know, that the old stuff that's around, we already know how to use it, the new stuff coming out.
Yeah,
Most of it, you know, the regulars.
yeah. Well, I want to say one thing or acknowledge it. Oscar, I appreciate you coming and your contributions that,
I'm learning. I'm
well,
learning.
yeah, and we're learning together and you've helped what, you know, with Brian and I can't see a different way or another way. I appreciate you jumping in and saying, oh, you know, you could do it that way. And the whole point of us doing this is to get better at what we're doing. So continue helping or piping up. Don't feel like you're gonna hurt my feelings that, oh no, I'm losing control. I'm happy to have help. So that's the way this works. We're all here to help each other. So.
Mhm.
But yeah, that I liked it. Was it Juan that asked that question, Brian, about the?
Yeah, that was one. He's
Yeah.
there. I think he's using his wife's phone.
Yeah. That starts getting wheels turning in my head about other things that you could do. So, and I was so kind of focused in on how the loop builder work, I didn't really give a whole lot of thought to the Flexbox part of it.
Mhm.
And Flexbox is something that you know that's at least code wise, Flexbox has been around a long time. I think it's been around 5 years, but you had to do it by hand, or there were some code tools that came along that would do it, but it was hard to work with. And then Themes started using it, but you know all the terms, the space between, the space around. We talked about that in the
Mhm.
containers meetup, but you know that was an initial learning curve. It's because you're using terms and things that are different from what we're used to. So, but Brian and I try to get out in front of this stuff as much as possible because I think Elementor proper is doing a webinar on. I don't know if it's just for. I think it's for everybody.
It's for everybody. Yeah, I think it's in November.
10th, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So Elementor's not even really talking about it yet. So
Yeah, they're gonna do a big global webinar on the 10th.
yeah, so and we'll see. And one other thing I mentioned that this in time, I wish Karen was still here to hear it because she's a WooCommerce person. This is supposed to work with WooCommerce too, but it's not. That's coming down. That's on the roadmap to where you could do custom layouts for WooCommerce layouts and such. But anything that is like a repeatable loop, I think you'd be able to use the loop builder for. But I'm sure that people are going to come up with all kinds of creative ways to use it. So, now, if any of y'all, oh, Susan wanted me to mention, or I don't know if who all was in the meeting when we talked about it at the beginning. Let people know, remind them that WordCamp Birmingham is coming up in February.
Mhm.
I don't know if any of y'all want to go to that.
She put a link in chat to the page.
Yeah. So if you were on in the meeting when she did that, it should still be there. She came on
Yeah.
after, it's probably gone.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
So. All righty, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. and we can see each other. Well, I appreciate everybody that came. See familiar faces. And if you have any ideas for future meetups, just email Brian or I, because we're always looking for topics that are interesting or helpful. And so I guess that's the name of that too.
Yeah. Well, everybody have a good weekend.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll see you guys next time. I'll check out.
Thanks, Guy, Oscar,
Yeah, Oscar, Juan,
Juan,
Jim.
Dennis, Jim.
See you guys.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll see you all next
Thank you very
time.
much.
bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye bye.